Marvel Rivals has a ton of different characters to learn and master, and while some are clearly easier than others, in the right hands, any character can be super strong. So today, we here at Drake Gaming want to show you one of the community's favorite DPS characters, at least based on what we've seen in our online matches, Hawkeye. Oh, and make sure to leave your comments below if you have any tips or tricks that you've learned as Hawkeye, since new moves and tips are being discovered every single day. And of course, don't forget to check out our full playlist for other characters and full guides on the game. Let's get started. Now, this video is going to be broken down into 3 parts. A breakdown of the basic abilities and how to use them, some strategies that we here on the team found while trying to use this particular character in our matches, and then finally, why should you pick this character and what do they provide over other characters in the same category of DPS. Check the timestamps down below to get exactly where you want to go. Okay, starting off with the abilities of Hawkeye. This character is definitely one of the more easier characters to simply pick up early on, but if you really want to get good, you have to get the aim down at long distances. So let's take a look at how some of these moves work. Starting off with the basic attack, Piercing Arrow. This attack will shoot a powerful arrow at the enemy. Aim for the head, get those precision hits, and do more damage. Pretty simple stuff right here. This of course works really well with the passive Archer's Focus, which gives more damage to your arrow when you aim at the enemy. Now, it's not going to be as simple as aim anywhere at the arena, your crosshair picks up an enemy across the map, and boom, extra damage and free kill. Whenever you're aiming at an enemy, you will notice the reticle under your main aim reticle charge up. If you hit it to 100 by staying on the target, then you will hit the max extra damage. If the target moves out of line of sight, however, though, that will go back down to 0 unless you hit the max beforehand, and then if they happen to move out of the way, it'll go down to 42 that you're probably seeing here on screen. You also need to watch how the arrow bends when you fire from long distances. The further away you are, you need to aim above the head to try and get those headshots. However, when it comes to Hawkeye, I found that around between 40 to 50 meters, you can still aim pretty well just at the head and you're basically good to go. Maybe a little bit higher up, maybe aim for the hair if you need to. If you go out between 60 or further though, that's where you're really gonna have to get some of those shots down. So if you're able to hit those shots, then I don't know why you're watching this guide. The other arrow in your arsenal is the blast arrow. To select it, I simply attach it to my scroll wheel. Of course, you can go into the settings and put it on whatever button you want, but this is simply where I did. This gives you 3 explosive arrows to fire at once. The damage for these though, however, is not great, so you don't want to be relying on those. It can be helpful for destroying cover though, which can definitely help you in certain matches. I could also see potentially being okay for finishing off enemies who are jumping around maybe, or if you happen to have the high ground and they're fighting one of your teammates and they're really low on health and you happen to fire one, you could potentially get a kill with that. But otherwise, I barely use them to be perfectly honest. So of course, if you have any tips though, let us know down below in the comments. Crescent Slash can be a pretty good melee attack that's great for getting enemies away from you, especially if they sneak up on you, since you're going to be in the back line, but we do have characters on this roster that are going to sneak around pretty easily. Looking at you, Psylocke mains. Not only does this melee knock the enemy back, but it knocks them into the air. So if you happen to have a good teammate around with you, you could, for example, knock the enemy into the air and have your teammate finish him off. I don't know how often you'd actually get to do this in a real match, but regardless, you might be able to pull it off. Hypersonic Arrow is the last arrow that you're going to have in your arsenal here that does a small bit of damage, but also inflicts slow on the enemy. This can also be useful for knocking down flying enemies, but you're really going to have to learn to lead your enemies and not just simply fire right at them. The arrow moves at a decent speed, but it's not going to cross the entire map in a single second. The final move in your arsenal is your ultimate, which is Hunter's Sight. Basically, for 10 seconds, you're going to see after images of enemies that move within your sight. If you hit these after images, you will actually deal damage to the real enemy. The key here is to hit these after images with your normal arrows, which are actually going to deal damage to the actual enemy. Your arrows also charge super fast, meaning that you can basically rapid fire at enemies that are decently close. You're not going to be able to do this from like say 60 meters away or anything like that, but if you're anywhere within the normal range, you'll be able to take down people pretty fast. You will still need to aim for long distances, but depending on the type of player that you are, you can get some big damage done to the enemy team, especially if you have the high ground. Okay, with all the moves and abilities done now, let's go into some combos and some strats. But before that, really quick, I need to pay some bills, and that's gonna be possible thanks to today's sponsor, Factor. Are you someone who loves the game but just can't find the time? Want to finally jump into the brand new game Black Myth Wukong, or maybe just a quick online match with the boys, but that crazy schedule of yours just won't allow it? Whether it be school, full-time job, family, or anything else you can think of, throw on top of that having to make dinner and clean up after, which, let's be honest, nobody likes to do. Well, today is your lucky day. Factor is the best place to get chef-prepared meals on the table in 2 minutes that are not only ready to go, but extremely healthy and tasty. I mean, just look at all these options right here. My personal top 3 picks would have to be the roasted garlic chicken, honey mustard pork chops, and oh, that creamy Parmesan chicken. Yeah, I'm definitely eyeing that one right there. Or maybe you just need something for breakfast. The smoky bacon and cheddar egg bites definitely make my mouth water a little bit. It gives you the protein you need for the day and can also get in some much needed gaming sessions. All you have to do in order to get all of this is just click the link in the pinned comment to get 50%. Yes, you heard me, 50%. That is half off the normal price of your first factor box, and you will also get 20% off your next month's order. Also, to top it all off, you don't need to order something for every day. Only need meals for 2 days out of the week? No problem. One thing I especially love about Factor is that you can actually skip weeks, which means that you are not charged and you can start back up whenever you want. That saves you money when you need it, and you can still get in those sweet gaming sessions. So, what the heck are you waiting for? Hit the link, sign up, and use the code that you see on screen to get 50% off now. Okay, we back. As we mentioned in our before you play video that you can see here on screen, your main mode that you're gonna be playing in this game is quick play, which consists of capture the objective and move the payload. If you wanna go into competitive, by all means you can as well. These are definitely more helpful for people who are starting out. There are some things that you can pick up here for competitive play. If you're playing the payload mode, Hawkeye's main role is pretty standard here. Stand in the back at good angles and hit the enemy. Now, if you're only doing this, then you 100% deserve anyone calling you a simple blueberry and should not be surprised if somebody kicks you from any custom servers. I don't write the rules, that's just how it is. What you need to be doing as well if you happen to be Hawkeye in this particular mode is spotting as many enemies as you can using the ping system. As you're gonna be able to see enemies from obviously quite a good distance, but if you happen to have the high ground, you can really help your team out here. Also, make sure you use your hypersonic arrows as much as you can if you lead your targets so you can not only slow them, but help your enemy out as well. I've actually gotten a kill or two off of these hypersonic arrows. They're not meant to do that or anything, but regardless, they can help you out. As you continue to get good in this particular mode, you can actually become a little bit more mobile and actually start shooting and jumping at the exact same time to not only help your teammates, but also get some good pushes on the objective. I've seen some Hawkeyes make some crazy shots. And yes, I won't lie, there are definitely some shots that you can just simply shoot into a crowd because they're all bunched up into one place and you can get some crazy kills that you're probably thinking to yourself, did I really just get that? But this game is still pretty new. So I would assume that the higher up you get in competitive play or any matches that are using better players, then you're not gonna be able to hit any of these crazy free shots or anything like that. Hence why you're definitely gonna need to get some good aim and learn how to play this character. When it comes to capture the zone, Hawkeye is basically going to be doing the exact same thing that we saw in the other game mode, except for this one, you're really going to want to know the lay of the land here. As you might have guessed when it comes to long-range players, anytime you hit some crazy long shot, somebody is going to come and try and find you and take you out. This is where knowing your map is really critical here. Because you're going to be playing the zone here, one thing you absolutely need to do is really learn not only how the map works, but where those certain spots are with the health packs around the map as well to have the best range and angles on the enemy here. You should still be spotting using your sonic arrows and team shooting, obviously, but absolutely you're going to want to make sure that whatever spot you are in, maybe pick 2 to 3 spots on the map, that way you can continue to move around here, is to make sure that they are close to some health packs so that you can easily heal up. As with any DPS character, most of you are pretty squishy here, so Hawkeye is no exception. Having multiple spots that you can move between helps with this always, so that if any players try to seek you out, they might get confused and they're not going to be helping their team, and you're just going to be able to laugh at them. 2 extra things to keep in mind for all game modes, obviously, is going to be charging your arrow. One thing you might have noticed if you try this character out at all is that you can actually move and hold down the charge as long as you want. In most of the games, you would eventually fire off the weapon because your stamina or something went down. That's not the case here, though. You can literally move across the entire map holding down the charge button. I don't recommend it because you move really slowly, but if you're somebody who happens to find their vantage point, then you're going to be good to go there. Also, a big tip I have for charging your arrow, try to aim at your Vanguard characters, aka the tanks, to more easily charge up your primary arrow attack, then snap over to a more squishy character like a DPS or a healer. As we mentioned beforehand in the move section of the video, even if you find somebody but then they move out of the way, your charge reticle will still stay at around 42 until you find another target, which will then quickly get it back up to 100 and you can potentially get that one-hit kill. The other thing to remember in this game is how aiming works. This is a third-person shooter, in quotations, and you will notice that if you fire your arrow close to the left side of an enemy, you will actually miss sometimes, especially if they happen to move just a tad. However, if you fire at the same spot or even further on the right side, you will actually hit them. This is simply how the game is made when it comes to being over-the-shoulder third person. Keep this in mind as you continue to learn and better your aim, and you're going to be able to hit those shots a lot easier. All right, we got moves and abilities done, and we got some strats. Finally, why should you pick Hawkeye over other DPS characters? Well, after playing for a while, I can say that if you're someone who likes to play at long distances and actually has good aim, then this character is definitely for you. Despite how some B-roll might be looking, you do need to have some skill when it comes to Hawkeye. You can easily get some crazy shots/kills that you might not have expected, and his arrows are definitely super strong. But But if anyone sneaks up on you and you don't realize it, you can get taken down very fast. One time I can easily see you wanting to switch over to this character is when you and your team are having trouble trying to push a point and you have a good spot that you can hit them from afar. Do not, and I cannot emphasize this enough, do not simply switch to try and snipe other Hawkeye users unless you actually have good aim. Can't tell you how many players I've seen over the last 20 plus years of playing games when somebody thinks they can outsnipe a sniper and they spend the entire match trying and failing. If you know you have good aim with Hawkeye and you need to take out someone from a long distance, do it. But please do not do this unless you are actually somebody who has played this character, gone into practice range, and really tried this character out. One other thing to mention real quick when it comes to how strong the arrows are though, is that at the particular time of this recording, which is at the end of December 2024, going into January 2025, is that this character has a seasonal boost. Now, Season 1 is supposed to happen sometime in January. We don't know exactly when, so by the time you're seeing this, it could potentially be gone. So how good will this character be after that happens with those one-shots or two-shots is really up in the air. Plus, there could be some nerfs when it comes to patches, or any changes to the game are currently unknown. So if you happen to be watching this later, let's say halfway through 2025 or even further on, let us know in the comments below if anything has changed to a drastic measure. Other than that though, Hawkeye can definitely be a very fun character to use, especially if you're a fan of someone like Hanzo back in Overwatch, or any other character that happens to use long range in other games. But there we go, that is going to be everything that you need to know when it comes to the character Hawkeye in Marvel Rivals. Here on the channel, we also do stream our matches sometimes, so if you want to join us live sometimes, make sure you sub to the channel and maybe even join us in a couple of matches. And of course, as always, leave a comment down below that we've talked about beforehand with your best tips for the character so that we can help other players out as much as possible. With that being said, I've been Tallen with Direct Gaming. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I hope you have a great day and week, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Johnny.